To make it little bit difficult, we can reduce health by 0.01 every time, and let's try it again. Usually these are done with incremental cycles, like you just trial and error in games and make changes as you wish. Yeah, I think this is much better. Yeah, now the problem is now it's going to minus values and nothing is happening. So that means now earlier we commented out this explode and die code, right? Now it's time to add that to enemy rules. So that means ask enemies if health is maybe less than or equal 0, explode and die. Now let's look at the player rules. So in player rules also we have to check the health of a player. So that means if the health of a player is less than or equivalent to, so that means it's the game over. So here I'm going to call a new procedure called game over that I'm going to implement. In this game over procedure, so we are going to define code to execute when there's a game over situation happens. So here I have my game over procedure. In game over procedure, so I'm going to use a new breed. So that means here I will have a new breed called final statuses. So the final statuses can be a game over situation or game winning situation. But I'm going to again create a new type of turtle to show my final status. Okay, now it's defined here, final statuses. A singular term is final status. So I'm going to hatch a new final status inside my game over. So whenever there's a game over situation, so it's going to hatch final statuses, one of those, and I'm going to set the XY coordinates to 40 by 40. So the reason here is, so in this game world, bottom left corner is 0 0 and this is 80 0 and this corner is 0 80. So that means the middle should be somewhere like 40 by 40 40, x coordinate 40 and y coordinate 40. So I'm going to set it to 40 40, and now it's game over. So we are sad. So for that I'm going to use an inbuilt shape called face sad. There are so many NetLogo shapes available. You can check that on NetLogo website, or you can also go to tools menu and you can go to turtle shapes editor and have a look at what are the shapes available. And face is sad now, and I'm going to set the size of the face to like maybe 15, and I should not have any labels in it, because when I'm hatching something, so sometimes always it's getting the properties of the parent now. So I'm going to hatch this on top of my player aircraft. So I should not have any labels here. So that means my label should be empty. And yeah, so I think that's good. So let's see what happens now. So I will stay here so enemies can destroy my aircraft, and let's check for the game over condition. Yeah, now it gave me a sad face and it became green because that was the color of the aircraft, and it was hatched from my aircraft. So I can change the color. I can set color to yellow. At the same time, I can define another procedure called game win, and the only difference is face should be a happy face. So when we destroy all enemy aircrafts, we can call this procedure. So that will be used later. Now we are going to use this winning condition in enemy rules. So in enemy rules, we can check the count of enemies. So here, if the count of enemies is equal to 0, then that means we have destroyed all the enemies and we can show the game winning condition. But let's check this code. Now it's giving an error, so we cannot use that in observer context because enemy rules is turtle only. So the reason for that is, so whenever we try to call this game winning condition, it's trying to hatch. This is fine for player situation. The reason is when game is over, we didn't destroy the player. If you look at the code, we didn't really destroy the player. So when it reaches the health 0, we hatched a final status on top of our player. But now, in case of enemies, we destroyed the enemy first and we tried to hatch a final status. But there is no one to hatch this. So because of that, instead of hatch, we can use create. So that means it's without depending on a parent like enemy, we are simply creating a new final statuses. Like this is an independent agent, not hatched by any parent. Yeah, now our code looks good. Now let's set up this and try to play it again. Yeah. So this time I lost. So there are several improvements that we can make. So you can see these explosions are having labels. We should remove that. Also, we can increase the explosions, and we should stop playing the game when this happens. So because otherwise it's going to continuously check these conditions and it's going to really slow down our code. So we can make those improvements. So here we can define a new global variable called stop game, and at the beginning we should set this stop game to no, false, and every time when our play loop is running, we should check if stop game is true then we should stop the game. Stop. And in both of our winning condition and game over condition, finally we should make sure to set stop game to true. So let's try to check the code. Code looks good. And there was another thing I was talking about, that explosions are having a label. So let's find out the place that we create the explosions. Yeah, hat explosions. So this one, set label to empty. And I'm going to change the explosion rules a little bit. I think this is too slow. So I'm going to increase the speed of the explosions also.